is my old stomping ground of St Andrews. When Scots first began to settle in Ulster in the early 1600s, many came over from this region. Everyone from poor farming families to bishops and churchmen. The coast here looks out across the North Sea, from where reformed theological ideas made their way over from Scandinavia and Germany, inspiring the likes of John Knox, the founder of the Presbyterian Church in Scotland. Many of the settlers in Northern Ireland would later bring these new ideas with them, but during the 1500s, St Andrews witnessed a brutal backlash against the early Protestant reformers. St Andrews became the scene of many martyrdoms during the bloodiest years of the early Reformation. Many of the dead are remembered at this memorial. Among them is the early Protestant reformer Patrick Hamilton, who was burnt at the stake near the town's university.
Like many of the martyrs, Hamilton had been a student at St Andrews.
So this is something that I think you should see, which is, as I say, very famous in St Andrews. It's the initials of PH set into the stonework here, Patrick Hamilton. Poor Patrick Hamilton was burned at the stake. He was criticising the Catholic Church. He was a Protestant. The tradition in St Andrews is that if you're a student and you step on this, you're going to fail your exams. But there is a cure, which is to take a dip in the sea on May the 1st, which I can tell you in the North Sea is not something you would normally choose to do. However, on the other hand, all the students have a big party on May Day down the East Sands, and a lot of them go in for a dip anyway. The other interesting feature is the alleged face of Patrick Hamilton up there on the wall, which was by tradition burned into the stonework on the day that he was burned at the stake. Although I have heard that a stonemason felt it wasn't quite clear enough and did just enhance it a bit.
The religious history of the town is fascinating, Fergus.
It is. This became the headquarters of the Catholic Church in Scotland. So this became a major city, third biggest city in Scotland after Edinburgh and Aberdeen. It was the headquarters of this huge corporation, which by the end of the Middle Ages owned about a quarter of the kingdom. So therefore, lots of good jobs, lots of money. So if you read about medieval Scotland, the name St Andrews keeps coming up.
As a key battleground in the Scottish Reformation, ideas forged and fought over in this part of Scotland would have a profound effect on the history of Ulster.
When new religious ideas were emerging on the continent, this is where they would enter Scotland.
Yeah, because you've got relatively educated people, merchants and traders and so on, who can read and write because that's useful to them, and who are trading with Scandinavia, the Baltic states, Russia, Bohemia as it was then, German states, the Netherlands, as well as France and so on. But it's certainly a very strong Germanic element, and of course Protestant ideas especially tended to come from these Germanic communities in the North Sea trading sort of area.
And the Scottish Reformation is different than the English one because it's a bottom-up thing. The people get hold of these ideas and they then surge up through society.
Exactly, and one of the main reasons for that is because Scotland was particularly lacking central authority. So in 1530, when the Reformation happened in England, you had a king at the height of his powers saying, that's it, we're all going to be Protestant now. Whereas in Scotland, it was a much more piecemeal, it could have gone either way at different times, kind of process, and it really kind of built to a peak. People at the time, I mean, must have been very concerned about which way it was going to go. It wasn't at all inevitable that it would happen. And then quite suddenly, over a period of a couple of years, things started to go the Protestants' way.
Yeah.